wrestling fans, and welcome back to 10 Count. I'm Steve Fall, but on today's edition, I am talking to one of my favorite characters of all time. It's the Warlord. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good tonight. Doing very good.
I am glad to hear, and I know everyone, the entire world is pulling at you. They always want you to do something, attention. Now, if people don't know, what do you currently do for a living?
I do private security and bodyguard work. That's what I do, and it keeps it very busy.
Now, you don't have your Warlord staff, though. You don't have that with you?
Yeah, no, I don't have my warlord staff. No.
Just want to make sure, because I wouldn't want to mess with you anyways, but your half Warlord mask with the staff would intimidate all customers, any ruffians. So I just want to make sure everyone knows that you're still kicking ass, still taking names, and protecting who needs protection. So
Yep, just a little bit older doing it now. That's all. It's a little bit older.
I still would be frightened. I still think there would be questions of what am I doing? Why here? But we're talking about other things as well, because you've done so much in the wrestling industry. And again, I brought it up, the Warlord, the half mask, the staff, but yet for 20 years, you held a record. And I don't know if it's a good record or a bad record. We'll discuss this right now.
Yeah.
You actually held the record for the fastest elimination in a Royal Rumble match until it happened in 1989, the first pay-per-view of Rumble. I know they pulled off an 88 version, but 89, you're in it, eliminated by Hogan, and suddenly you hold that record for till 2009. Did you like having that record, and when you sad to see it defeated?
You know what? I didn't mind it a bit because number one, I was the last one going in the ring, so I'd have to be in there just about a second or so. Number two, I got eliminated by the I guess the biggest name of all time in professional wrestling, Hulk Hogan.
Yeah.
And that didn't bother me. And, have it for 20 years. And I still think I hold it to this day. I still think that he didn't beat me.
I kind of agree with you. I think they just like to make new records happen. And what do they do? Bring back the Warlord? And they could, but maybe they wouldn't. I don't know why, but they decided
I don't know if I could go over backwards like that again.
It's true. Even, at my age, if I lean too far one side to pick up my daughter's backpack, I'm like, oh, and suddenly, I'm out for a week. But
well, I'm definitely not going to land on my feet. I'll tell you that. I'll probably take a bump here and a bump there and a bunch of areas to get down to the ground. So,
oh man, but you enjoyed that. I'm assuming for 20 years, someone must have. In the beginning, it's like, oh, okay, that happened. And then as time goes on, every year they would do this by the numbers and the Royal Rumble, building the Rumble. And they were like, in 1989, the Warlord has this record. Did you enjoy that?
I enjoyed it, man. I like I said, I loved it and that stuff. I got knocked out by the biggest name ever in professional wrestling. Yeah. I mean, that's an honor. That's I didn't mind. Like I said, I didn't mind it one bit.
That's true. And I'm glad you didn't, because we all enjoyed the classic moment of you being clotheslined. And it's so funny because you see the double box in the 1989 Rumble, and they're like, oh, shit, here comes the Warlord. Oh, my God, he's going to destroy. Oh, he's out. Oh, geez. Oh, that was quick. Oh, yeah. I love it.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
I absolutely love it. And you brought up Hulk Hogan a few times, and when you split off in the Powers of Pain, you did get a world championship match against Hulk Hogan. And I don't think that would have happened if you weren't split up from the Barbarian. But what was that experience like, having a championship match against Hulk Hogan in the height of Hulkamania?
I tell you what, when you step in the ring against Hogan and all those flashes are going off, and also he rips that shirt up, man, I'm the one that's got goddamn goosebumps all over me, and everything just goes black for a second. It's like, wow, man, I'm in with the biggest name ever in professional wrestling. And he's doing all this. These flashes are going off. And it's just like, man, this is awesome. It's a cool thing in the world to feel.
My God. And then what was he like? Because you always hear stories about Hulk Hogan, and because he was a huge star. So obviously if you saw his name on the board of the town you're in, more money in your pocket. What was it like, though? What was he like backstage? Because everyone always sees the ripping of the shirt, the cupping of the ears. Is he a nice man? Is he polite to the other boys?
He's very nice to everybody. He's just like one of the guys back there and that stuff, straight up in that stuff, and, but it's all business too and that stuff, So, and I appreciate it. And, I always respect him, and he always respected me, and that meant a lot to me.
Well, there you go. That's all you need sometimes in business, is a little cash, a little creative, a little respect. Though it's nice to hear that, because again, in current days, Hulk Hogan sometimes is looked at in a different light, but I still will always appreciate everything he did for the wrestling business. And if no one acknowledges his presence and how much he put forth and where we are today, then they're just lying to themselves.
So right. He changed the whole business for a big man. He changed the whole business. No one had ever seen a big man ever crawl on their knees and sell the way he ever did in his life, and got sympathy. Actually, got sympathy as a big man.
Right.
That was amazing.
I know. Well, also the WWF at the time had a monster factory, and it seemed like that was a great cause of, hey, we got Andre, we got King Kong Bundy, we got Warlord, we got Barbarian, Big Bossman, Akeem. You go through the list of big men.
Yeah, we did. Yes, we did.
And it was always impressive to see it because the storyline is so simple. Can Hulk Hogan defeat this monster? It's so simple, so easy to tell, and yet sometimes you wonder. You're like, I don't know if he's gonna do it. And then of course he would do it, but because he would Hulk up, and it was
listen,
things
ever. You watch every match Hogan ever did when he make his comeback, the same comeback every single night. It didn't matter. It's what the people wanted. When they saw himself hulking up, they know he's going to throw the block punch, throwing a big boom strap, that big leg. And the people didn't care. They wanted and they loved it.
Yes. I would compare Hulk Hogan to like a Western where the good guy is going to win in the end.
John Wayne.
Yes, John Wayne. Perfect example, because you go to a movie and you expect the good guys always to win. So when you suddenly see a movie where, like, say, a bad guy wins, you're like, I'm sorry, what just happened? My body doesn't know what to do with those feelings. And Hogan, if anyone ever says anyone's stale, look at the history of professional wrestling. It's all kind of beat by beat by beat. There really is no difference. We still have to pin. We still have to submit. There's countouts. There's submissions. Like, the rules haven't really changed.
Nope, same thing. Yep.
But when you came into the WWF, you came in as a babyface to help Tito Santana kind of take down Demolition. And the comparison, though, of Demolition, Powers of Pain, your tag team with the Barbarian, and Legion of Doom have been brought up for years. So we need to clarify right now, or is Demolition designed to be LOD kind of WWF versions, but yet Powers of Pain in 1988 had a rivalry with the Legion of Doom as well. Heels, you were heels, they were baby faces. So let's come to the brass tacks. Me and you, Warlord, right now. Who is the ripoff of LOD? Is there anything, or is just the times and that's the look?
No, it was at times, and both of us were. We were basically, lookalikes with the World Warriors and that stuff, of course. But we had the size, we had the look, and we could pull it off.
Yeah.
And the Road Warriors, I mean, at that time, especially in the NWA, they had nobody. They destroyed everybody. We were the first team that was actually bigger and stronger than they were, that could actually make them sell in the ring, and the people loved it because it actually made the Road Warriors be total babyface. Now they were true babyfaces.
Right.
So it was actually a very good thing.
And at the time in 1987 or 88, when you were feuding with LOD and NWA, though Barbarian was rocking the face paint and you weren't at the time. So I think the comparison in the, I guess, late 80s would be hard. But as you come into the WWF, there's Demolition. If you're not watching NWA, you're only watching WWF, well, the only version you have is Demolition and Powers of Pain as your painted up badasses. And I think as LOD would come in later on, they didn't have the same impact because we already saw the Demolition. We already saw the Powers of Pain. Do you think the inclusion of you already there hurt them when they came in?
People had already seen it because of us and that stuff. Listen, the Road Warriors are always going to be the goats of the business. They're always going to be the best of all time. No one could ever tell me, and no one ever will touch the Road Warriors. They changed tag team wrestling.
Oh, I was going to say that, right?
Yeah, Animal Hawk came in, and they were, man, they had people going. I mean, they were, and to this day, everybody, the spikes, everything else is just, it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
And I just say I'm lucky enough to be able to work with those guys a long time and enjoy them, not only as working with them, but also as friends.
That's awesome to hear because, you always, the wrestling lore and questions we ask ourselves constantly are always, is this version LOD, Demolition, Powers of Pain? And I'm glad to hear talking to the Warlord, clarifying with the wrestling world what is real and what isn't. I think because, again, you weren't wearing face paint in 88 when you came into the WWF, suddenly you were wearing face paint.
Yeah, well, they want us to bring over the face paint. And let me tell you, that was a hard thing at first, man. I had the hardest time to get that down. Barb had to do it for me. And most of the day he said, Teddy, I'm not doing it anymore. You're going to learn how to do this. And it was hard at first. It's hard to look in a mirror or even grab a mirror. Sometimes there's no mirrors at places. You got to use your a tiny mirror, and you got to do it that way. And at first it was very tough. Now I can do it like nothing, but back then it was tough.
That's interesting because I think at the time, people think, oh, they have people for this. They have makeup
No,
artists. The Warlord is
no.
back there with a little thing of makeup putting on his war paint.
You are on your own.
Oh man, I feel bad for everybody. Warrior to Gold Dust to
Yep,
everybody. Those
yep.
poor people. So when they were always rocking that face paint, and you, including yourself, kudos to you because I don't think I'd be able to do it either. I'd be like, left is right, right is left in a mirror.
Yeah.
Oh God, I got my eye.
Yeah, if you get a little bit in your eye, you're screwed. You got to take the whole goddamn thing off and hopefully it doesn't get any worse in your eye. Oh, yeah.
I thought we were talking about bumps and traveling the road, but face paint to the eye is something I did not think we'd be discussing.
Oh, it hurts. It really hurts when it gets in your eye.
You're like, I broke my arm, but I'll tell you what hurts more. Paint in the eye.
Yep.
That's what takes you down in this wrestling world. Though Survivor Series 88, you were baby faces, you swapped the double turn, Demolition, and you swapped places because Mr. Fuji, all Mr. Fuji had to do was swap sides, and suddenly you are bad and they are good. How did you feel about this process? Because I'm imagining little kids who are buying Powers of Pain shirts aren't going to buy them anymore if you turn bad. Does that hurt your bottom line?
Oh yeah, it hurts the bottom line when it comes to that. It was good for Demolition because they were starting to sell a lot of stuff.
Right.
But it is what it is. It's what they wanted. And of course, you go along with the flow in that stuff. You're trying to make money in that stuff and you're trying to make a good product in that stuff and you just go along with it and do it.
So pretty much as people would later on in the WWF quit because of creative differences, your understanding of my manager wants me to do something, so I do it.
That's right. That's how it was. Especially with Fuji. Otherwise, you might get a good rib.
I was going to say, we can't move on without hearing a Fuji story because not many people got to experience the life of Mr. Fuji as you did, having to be your manager. So let's share one. So one you haven't shared. I don't want to hear a story I've heard on 10 other interviews. I want to hear a fresh, original Fuji story. Give me one.
The first one was the very first time we came into the business. We had we left NWA on a Friday. We started WWF that Monday.
Wow.
Which at NWA couldn't believe it. We just boom because we got a call overnight and decided we're going to take this job and we're going to WWF on Monday. Yeah. So we did it. And first day we had to go to Syracuse, New York, and we had to do a show. And of course, one of the first ones we met was Fuji. Now he was with Demolition at the time. And so we're saying, no, we don't know where to stay. We don't know where to go around or anything else. We're new to the territory. So of course we hit the wrong person. He goes, I have very good motel for you. All the boys stay there. Very, very nice. He tells where it is. So we go ahead. We go to this motel. I'm looking at Barb. I'm saying, Barb, this place is horrible. I mean, there's no cars there. It's run down. It's nasty looking. I said, these guys are making money, man. They can't be staying at a place like this, So we check in. We open the door. We get in the room. The TV's all fuzzy. Air conditioning's not working. It's 95 degrees in New York in the middle of the summer and that stuff. Flies everywhere and that stuff and everything else and that stuff. Goddamn bed sagged to the goddamn ground. I said, man, I can't believe this. And I looked at it and I said, there ain't no one else coming here, Barb. We are the only ones here. This is a joke. Well, what sucked about it the most is the next day we had our first TV, which is about a 3-hour drive to Glens Falls. Now that night, we didn't sleep. I'm telling you right now, I would fan him for an hour. He would wake up, he'd fan me for an hour just so we could make it through the night and stay a little bit cool. Wow. Next morning, we were dead tired going to Glens Falls for our first TV. We could barely keep our eyes open, man. And Fuji goes, how you guys doing today? How was the room last night? Very nice, huh? I said, you got to be kidding. Oh, no. I asked the other guys, we were just a Holiday Inn right down the street about 5 minutes away. Nice Holiday Inn, beautiful. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it was brutal. Brutal.
Man, suffering leads to great stories 30 years later. But at the time, I can imagine it not being a fun experience at all.
Oh, yeah. A lot of fun with Fuji, especially traveling everywhere and all the time.
Yeah. So when you travel with Fuji, does he force you to drive? Is he the driver? Is he the guy?
He came to the back quick enough. He's in that back so quick. And the keys always went to me all the time. Here you go. You drive. Wow. Oh, God, I guess I'm the young boy, man. I'm the one who's got to drive. Yeah. That's life. You got to pay your dues.
No kidding. And also,
got to pay your dues.
Staying in terrible motels. Man.
Yep.
Good old Mr. Fuji, man. Throwing salt in the eye, that shit's got to sting. So
he gave me that salt in WrestleMania 5 at Trump Plaza. let me tell you, that stuff stings. It goes. I don't care if you close your eyes or not. It goes through your eyelids into your eyes. It burnt.
Oh
Because I guess all the sweat, all pores are going on me open, and that salt just went right through there and straight into my eyes. Man, my eyes were on fire, totally on fire. So it's the real gimmick, man.
I
Yeah.
don't know, I was wondering, like, how's he throwing fake salt in your eyes? Like, what
Oh,
is fake salt? Either way, it would hurt. No matter. Oh,
yeah,
I'm gonna throw sand in your face. Like, shit, that
yeah,
still hurts.
yeah.
That
There ain't
still
no
hurts.
fake salt there, man. That's the real stuff.
No, I know. It's like, yeah, I have a fake chair. Well, I have real salt. Okay, so deal with that, sucker. That's
Yep.
amazing. That is amazing. Though, what was your experience like working at WrestleManias? Because again, at the time, they're still huge today, obviously, but at the
Yep.
time, there was only like 4 pay-per-views. So
Right.
WrestleMania though was the creme de the creme. And when you
Right.
finally join the company and you get to perform on these a few different times, what is that experience like? What is your week leading up to that? Because are you doing media interviews? Are you doing radio? Like, what was the buildup?
For me, I really didn't try to get into the last minute. I didn't like to be around where you get so wound up during the whole week
Mm,
that I like to stay away with family and that stuff during that time and just relax, let your mind wander and that stuff, and then when you get there, boom, you're all relaxed, you're ready to go, you feel good, and boom, go hit it, man. Go hit it.
nice. I know in today's world, like the itinerary is outstanding
Oh,
from Monday to Monday. You're doing charities, you're going to hospitals, you're doing media interviews. It's an
yeah.
endless barrage of questions, probably the same ones over and over too. So how do you feel? How do you feel? How do you feel? So I imagine it's not a fun week. So lucky for you, you snuck in at the last minute and you got to perform, then you get to sneak out to the next town. Hopefully Fuji
Oh,
didn't
I
give
sneak
you a
out right
crap on.
after I was done. I get the heck out of there right away, man. Get out right away.
Now that's interesting too, is because obviously you want to go get food, you want to drive to the next town, you want to get to your hotel. So
Oh yeah.
even if it's like, oh, this main event's gonna be awesome for fans, oh yay! But as the performer, the worker who's getting paid to be there, hanging out in the locker room, what does that do? Is that more money in your pocket? No. So once you're done, you're done. Did you ever stay to the end?
Most of the time, no.
No, I
I
wouldn't
would
either.
say I'd watch a few matches, and then I just try sneaking out and that stuff,
Yeah.
because afterwards it's crazy and that stuff, and everybody's got to say 100 goodbyes, and then you got to wait for all the people outside, which is insane too, and that stuff.
Right. Little kids dressed as the Warlord, I imagine, was a problem for you. Though when the Pirates fans did break up later on in 91, again, we brought it up at the top of the show. You changed your entire look. You have
Yeah.
Slick as your manager. You're wearing the Phantom of the Opera type style metal mask. You have a Warlord chest protector. You got the staff. Whose idea was this? Was it yours to change up everything that you had going on?
No, it was pretty much the WWF at the time and that
Mm.
stuff, creative and that stuff. They thought it was kind of cool, and with how big I was and the way my body was, it would fit that kind of character, which it was good. It did fit it.
Because the barbarian ended up dressing in like fur and like kind of like a woodsman. He was a barbarian and
He's a barbarian, and
living in the jungle.
he hated that outfit. He
Not he
hated
wasn't a
that
fan
outfit.
of being wearing a fur coat and a giant antler on his head.
No, he did. He didn't like those antlers at all. He didn't mind the fur coat. He didn't like those antlers. No, didn't like them.
I think eventually maybe he dropped them by accident and stepped on them. But because you don't, if he wears them for a little bit and then they just kind of snap away. But
Yeah.
But in 91, when you did get a singles run with Slick, if you watch 91 pay-per-views, 1991, the British Bulldog and you are attached at the hip.
Yeah.
WrestleManias, SummerSlams, Survivor Series. You're in
Yeah.
combos of 3-on-3s, 4-on-4s, 1-to-1. What was that like working with the British Bulldog? Because at the time, again, he is kind of on the upswing of his career because he had the British Bulldogs with
Yeah.
Dynamite. And then after the Rougeau brothers and the Bulldogs had that backstage fight, it led to them leaving. Before we move on though, what was the atmosphere like backstage after this Jacques Rougeau pretty much knocked out Dynamite's teeth?
Yeah. It was different. It's funny because Barbie were actually on the West Coast that whole week, and we had to fly all the way that morning from San Francisco to New York. We were the only ones coming from the West Coast over there to do the TVs. So we had just got to the building like about 5 o'clock, I think it was, or something like that. And we just got in our rooms, put down the bags and that stuff. And here comes in Dynamite. It's like missing a bunch of teeth, blood all over his mouth, all over the place, and that's something. But what the heck just happened, And then I heard what happened in that, that the Rougeau brothers waited for him when he came outside the cafeteria, and they jumped him, and they beat him up. They beat him up pretty good. And I said, wow, man. And then Vince kind of just said, you know what, guys, I'm going to give you guys time off for a while. You guys need to take a break for a while. We need to cool this off. It's, and then after a period of time, we'll bring you back in that stuff, but you got to have a cooling time right now. So it really surprised me. I mean, it really did. I knew there's a lot of heat between them, but I didn't know it was coming to that point.
Right. I interviewed Jacques Rougeau, and the story of him is he was playing cards. This is how it all starts. There's always friction between them both, but Jacques Rougeau is playing like cards or some sort, and he's attacked from behind from Dynamite, and he just boots him in the face, like on the ground when he's trying to get up. So he knocked him out pretty much. So I guess that, the fume building inside Jacques was like, well, if I don't get my respect back, I'm always going to be pushed around. And I wonder if that situation happened in today's world, would that same exact outcome probably wouldn't happen. But were you aware of the Jacques Rougeau Dynamite attacking him first type of situation, or no?
I had heard that they had done some. Mostly I heard that Dynamite had really been bullying him a lot.
Yeah,
that's what I heard. He was really bullying him around a lot and that stuff. Trying to push his weight around on them in their face and that stuff. That's mostly what I heard. I didn't know about any of that stuff, but that's what I heard.
Yeah, because obviously, as you're an employee working backstage, there's always going to be gossip because there will be some downtime. But obviously, you tell one story, then someone tells a little different version of that story. And then by the time you get to it, you're like, he had a chainsaw? What do you mean?
Yep, that's right.
Yeah, I can understand that situation. But yeah, I imagine at the time, there is probably a situation where maybe you can lighten me on this. Was there a demeanor of like, not just Jacques and the Bulldogs, like I'm the big dog and I'm not going to put my weight around, but if you fuck with me, we're going to have problems. Like, because there's a lot of alpha males backstage, especially during that time.
Yeah. Well, listen, you had to do whatever you had to do for your respect. Plain and simple. You had to be respected, because if you didn't, these guys will eat you up. They would eat you up. I mean, each one of them, they'll do it. So, you demanded respect, the same respect you give them back.
Right.
And that's how I live life too. And that's the same way.
So, but, because you always hear stories of certain wrestlers, like again, Hulk Hogan, you brought up, what a great guy. But, people have different stories because they have different relationships with these people. And then you have, Macho Man, you even have Jimmy Snuka, Roddy Piper. Like, these are huge personalities who all don't like anyone taking a piece of their pie, because it's all about wrestling business. There's money being made here. So I was just interested on the aspect, because I know with Bulldog, the Bulldogs get put on the burner because of this friction with the Jacques Rougeau brothers, fabulous Rougeaus. And then I feel like it takes like 3 years for the British Bulldog, Davey Boy Smith, to even return. And when he does, he immediately is put into a storyline with you. Are you told, like, hey, we want Bulldog to feel welcome, we want him to feel like he's back part of the team? Or is there no conversation of, hey, he's here, he's just here to do business?
Most of what I knew in that stuff is just, just the way he looked, the way I looked, it was a good combination.
Yeah.
It was very good. And it was a total honor to go work with Davey Boy. Believe me, total honor.
Yeah. He was, I think, again, one of the greatest wrestlers of all time. And, the Hart family alone has lineage that will last forever until the end of time in the wrestling world. So I think history books will forever look at Bulldog and Owen and Brett, Anvil, Pillman, even Stu, everybody, I think, will always continue on. But I was just always curious. I've loved 91 pay-per-views. When you watch them, it's like, oh, Warlord and Bulldog. Okay, let's go watch the next one. Warlord and Bulldog, opposite side. Oh, Survivor Series, Warlord and Bulldog. It's always there, and I loved it so much. So I always love. But on the house show circuit, who are you working with? Bulldog? Or no?
Yeah, I worked with Davey Boy, a lot of it. Yes.
Really?
Yeah, a lot of it. Yeah.
I imagined, because sometimes you watch old episodes of, say, Superstars or Wrestling Challenge, the shows that you're on. There's like a house show storyline, and then there's pay-per-view storyline. Because if I go to my local event and see you versus Bulldog, why am I buying SummerSlam 91 to watch you fight Bulldog?
Well, what they were trying to do is they're just trying to build up the confrontation between the two of us. It's basically countouts or whatever, and that's of all those nights. So it's just kind of building up. One time we just made one round where we just arm wrestling gimmick.
Oh,
And at the end, I would take them, boom, throw the table on them, put the table in the corner, throw them through the goddamn table, and break the table in the middle and that stuff,
oh man.
and just leave them laying that stuff, and just stand right over them, looking down on them.
Oh
And
man.
the people would go crazy. It was a build up thing to the blow off when it went to WrestleMania. Everything
Yep.
was just a build up to that. Everything was all those, even the other pay per views were still all a build up coming to WrestleMania.
Wow. Again, you guys, I love the interactions between you two. So, uh, though eventually you did leave the WWF. Why? Was there a just nothing for you anymore?
They just I don't know. I don't think they were ready. I don't think they knew what they wanted to do anymore with me.
Mm.
It was kind of like you get to that point, it's like, okay, what am I going to do now on that stuff. And it was just kind of a mutual thing at the time.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was wondering if your size was a factor, because it seemed like everyone from, we'll call it the golden era of wrestling leading into 1992 disappeared. Everybody disappeared. And it felt like if you had muscles, they didn't want you around. And
Well, it was because of the steroid thing that came up and all that stuff. That's what it came down to.
right.
That's basically what a lot of it was right there. A lot of it.
So at the time, the steroid trial clearly affected your business, because again, you were making WWF money, and suddenly they're like, "Hey, by the way, we don't want you on anymore because of steroid reasons." And we're not saying you're taking steroids, but that you look like you might be, so we don't want that to be a perception of, "Hey, this guy's taking steroids and he's on our show still." Because everyone got small. Everyone got small.
Yep, that's exactly what it was at the time. Yep.
So even in July 2016, you did join a class action lawsuit against the WWF over wrestlers being, injured, brain injuries during their tenure there. Why did you join this? Because I've talked to Ken Patera, I've talked to many people about the situation of why they joined, but why did you join this class action lawsuit?
Mostly just because I've had a lot of bad problems with headaches and that stuff. The memory's not the same anymore as it was. Just issues like that and that stuff, that it slows you down. It's just kind of it makes you mad. It's just kind of embarrassing sometimes, because you're just of what you've done in your life and that stuff, and then all of a sudden something like this, it's hard. And there could have been precautions like the precautions they have today. They got so many precautions in place now and that stuff.
Oh yeah.
Back then we didn't have nothing and we just kept going. If you got a concussion, you just kept going. There was no break. There was no nothing, because we didn't have contracts back then. We were paid nightly. So if you didn't work, you weren't paid. So we had to do what we had to do to try to keep going and that stuff. It was very tough.
Now I wonder if the situation was a little different, because in today's world, say you have a drug issue, doesn't matter if you work there or you did work there, they send you to rehab, they get you paid for that stuff. The brain injuries, maybe they didn't have. This is just me spitballing. Maybe they didn't know the exact facts. Like, I know this case was taking place in Connecticut, so that doesn't look good on you trying. Just because of where it's happening, it's not really the best idea to have a court case there, though. Unfortunately, that happens. Now, brain injuries happen with a lot of wrestlers, but do you think someday that the WWE will realize, oh, wait, CTE, brain injuries, like there's a lot more happening that we're aware of that maybe we could have? Because you're saying you don't work, you don't get paid. Is there anyone forcing you to work when you're injured? Or are you like, hey, my arm really hurts, but I got to get paid?
That's kind of a fine line there. That you got to work to get paid, but at the same time, they want you to be out there working too and that stuff. It's a catch-22. It's a very tough thing. It's a hard question to answer. It really is.
Well, at the same time, you don't want to be having brain issues, as you're discussing right now. In today's world, you're saying some moments are embarrassing to you because of these injuries, and you said you didn't have a contract, and I think maybe that's the only issue in these court cases, where they can just look. You might be right, completely right, but it's like, oh well, you didn't technically work for us, so. And that's on the unfortunate nature of this probably lawsuit with a lot of wrestlers I've talked to who were involved with this. I have kind of the same issue. Like, well, you help all these other people, why can't you help me a little bit? And I don't know, like the fine line of being forced to work but wanting to get paid, obviously that's food on your table for your family, for you.
Right, right. And the thing is, too, you didn't want to miss working because, if you miss too much in that stuff, because of something like that, they could say, hey, we don't need you anymore. Boom, you're done. You're out of a job. We'll just get somebody else out there.
Right.
So it's very tough. It's very tough.
Now, I wonder if that's the carrot in front of the horse type situation where that's how they got a lot of people to keep on working while injured, to say, well, that's a great Warlord, but I got a muscly guy over here too. Like, maybe you should go out there and work and stop being a little baby. It's like, I have a concussion. Like, hello.
Yeah. It was like that. And that's like I say, if you can't perform, you can't do it. We'll just find somebody that's got more oil than you, and we'll put them out there and let them go.
Now,
And
did
then pretty
someone
soon,
did someone
pretty
actually
soon,
say these things to you, or no?
no, they never said that. But
It was, but it was,
perceptive that way. Yes.
yeah, okay.
Perception.
It's like, oh, you can have a day off, sure, but that sure is saying like
it'll
it's something
get back to
underneath it.
Vince. It'll get back to Vince quick.
Yeah. Like, oh, Warlord's a baby. He's hard to work with because he wants to go to, take a day off to relax his two broken legs.
Yep. That's how it was.
Wow. And then, a couple years ago, I was going through a phase of watching all the old WCW Nitros. I come upon October 11th, 1995, and you and Barbarian walk out wearing masks. And I'm like, first off, I was like, whoa, Powers of Pain here. Wait a minute. They're not Powers of Pain. They're Super Assassins, and they're wearing masks.
Yeah.
Did you not own Powers of Pain? Because, again, you were using it in NWA before you joined the WWF. Did they buy it?
No. We had Powers of Pain. As for some reason, they wanted to do Super Assassins. They wanted to put us their mask, which was the stupidest thing I've ever been around in my entire life. Because every time we walked to the ring, everybody go, hey, Barbarian, Warlord. Wow, these masks are really working, Barb. Great mask. Great outfit, guys. Thank you. It sucked.
Yes. Super Assassins. Like, they're assassins, but they're super. Like, oh.
And I always said, which one's Super Assassin 1? Which one's Super Assassin 2? Listen, my youngest son was just here not long ago, and I found some really cool things out in my garage that I used to have from WWF and that, so that I completely forgot I had out there. And one of them was the Super Assassin outfit I had yet.
Wow.
And he says, Dad, I want that. I said, you want that? Here you go. Have a great time with it. I don't want it.
Wow.
I don't need it. I don't want it.
Wow. Someone would have bought that probably.
Like I say, I told him, I said, man, I could put that in the market and get good money for it. Believe me, people would buy that in a second. But he wanted it really bad to put on his wall down up in Pensacola. So I said, take it. It's all yours.
Well, there you go. Always a good father-son bonding time there.
Oh, yeah.
Handing out Super Assassin gear. You don't hear that very often. You don't hear that very often. What'd you do with your son today? Would you play ball? Huh? Did you play like a little catch? No.
Yeah.
I gave him my Super Assassin outfit.
Yeah. Gave him that. Lovely, man. Lovely.
Really? Yep. That's a nice sentiment there. And again, you only last till January of '96, October to January. What was the deal? Was it just a, hey, come on, we'll see how it goes?
Once again, it was just kind of one of those things. They didn't know what the heck direction they wanted to go with it. And back then, if you remember anything about WCW, they didn't have one person like Vince in charge. You had like 10 different individuals in charge. Yeah. So you don't know which direction anything's going. Who's really the boss? Who's giving you orders? Where it's coming from? You got 10 different things. Like, you go to the ring, you got like 10 different finishes. It's like, which one am I? If I do this one, these other 9 can be pissed off. It's like, I don't know which direction to go. That's how it was. That's
sad to hear. I know the WCW at the time, it felt like it was going somewhere, but it just maybe too many bosses, too many chefs in the kitchen.
You got too many goddamn Indians in there, man. Too many of them. You need to have one boss, just like Vince. Everything comes down from one person.
Yeah. Agreed. 100% agreed. I thought it was just amazing because I'm like, oh, Powers of Pain are here. Super Assassins, what? And then everyone was there. Everybody was coming to WCW. Nasty Boys, Legion of Doom, Steiner Brothers, Harlem Heat, everybody that you ever heard of as a tag team. You look at the WWF's pitiful tag team division in 1995. I believe, if off the top of my head, you had the Godwins, you had the Smoking Guns, both kind of Southern gimmicks, Skip and Zip, the Body Donnas, and I think the New Rockers, not the Rockers, the New Rockers. And when you put new in front of it, or super, It's always better.
Yeah,
Super
you're right
Assassins.
about that.
I
Yeah.
love it so much. Though I think a lot of people would like to know, do you think the Warlord, Powers of Pain with Fuji, Hall of Fame in the WWE, will that be something we see someday? Because I think the golden era of wrestling is everyone belongs in the Hall of Fame, including yourself.
I really hope so someday. It would be an honor. It'd be a lot of fun. Um, there's other teams I think that should still be in front of us. I believe Demolition should be.
Yes.
They held that tag team title for so long, and what they did in that stuff was amazing. In that stuff, Bill and Barry. I mean, they really deserve to be there. Another one I believe deserves to be there is Haku.
Mm-hmm.
I believe he's another one that deserves to be there. But you're right. There's guys right now that are out there that they truly do deserve to be there right now. And it's sad because some took so long, like Brutus took so long to get there. Brutus should have been there right away. I mean, he was a big star back in the very early days of WWF and that stuff. Um, you know, there's a couple others out there in that stuff, that are very deserving in that. They paved the road for these guys today of what they're doing. We did the hard work. Now they're enjoying the luxury of it.
Right.
They get enjoy it, and they're getting paid now. They're getting paid.
Right.
So
and then money that they were probably getting paid millions of dollars and merchandise, bad guys, good guys. It's not like
yeah.
go to 88 when you change from babyface to heel that kids are like, boo, I'm not gonna buy your shirt anymore. Mom and dad, don't buy me that shirt.
Yeah.
In today's world, if you're a bad guy or a good guy, still people, good guy, kids, adults, women, men are still buying the bad guy shirt, the good guy shirt. It's become a whole different television program versus then where
Well,
there was elements of like, it's real, it's not real.
the problem with today is that you don't know so many times in the ring who's the bad guy, who's the good guy, because everybody's trying to outdo each other with these big moves now. And my problem is with that is all these big moves being done. How is somebody getting up from that? I mean, back in the day, Jake did his DDT, Rude did his Rude Awakening. Hogan did the big leg. No one touched any of those finishes from anybody else. Those were your finishes. And when you did them, it was 1, 2, 3, done. I don't know if they're not taking their Wheaties now these days. I don't know, whatever they're not doing anymore. But I'm saying, and I'm watching these things, that how can you get up from something like that? And then they do a little tiny stupid move and they're pinned. 1, 2, 3. What? They got beat by that. They took 10 of those. In today's world, they'll take a DDT and you get up and they're up looking at you already. It's like, brother, I gave you a DDT and you're up quicker than I got up.
Yes.
It just, the business has changed a lot. It's changed. I mean, I'm not saying it's changed for the worse. It definitely has it because, look at the draw factor they have in that stuff. Of course, their TV's so powerful now. I mean, WWE's name is so huge now. But and the athletes, they're athletes. They are truly athletes. But as far as the work factor has really changed a lot.
Yeah. No, I agree. There is many wrestling organizations. There's a battle between what's important to you: 5-star matches, storylines. And that's I think where it turns into the argument of there's so many federations now on national TV or YouTube syndication, streaming platforms that whatever, if you're interested in seeing someone kick out of me doing 10 backflips off the top rope onto you on the outside and you kicking out at 2, but me beating you with like a heart punch suddenly. But then there's also the other side of it. If I hit my, Roman Reigns, hits his big spear or hits the big move or Cody Rhodes crossroads, whatever, then that's out. I think the false finish has been, like you said, overdone and overused. And I think maybe we should go back. And I'm not saying DDT should be finishing moves anymore, but at the same time, take a move. If you fall off the rafters of the building and you kick out at 2 and I beat you with a leg drop, we have problems. But
well, also these days that like I said, the business changed a lot now. It's very, very different now on that stuff.
Yeah, that's true. And I still will go by my words before the Warlord and the Barbarian and Mr. Fuji, if not that group, just you yourself as well, because unfortunately it feels like no disparaging words to anyone who's in the Hall of Fame, but how is Donald Trump or Bob Uecker or the Bella Twins, again, no disparaging words to any of those people. I don't want any hate. How are they in before someone who paved the way and created that path we're on? I love the Bella Twins. Great. Yeah, whoopee. But But how long in the business versus someone who, Warlord, who carried over, fought LOD, fought Demolition, was at WrestleMania, selling out arenas, fighting Hulk Hogan. How is that not a criteria for Hall of Fame versus someone who's like, I was on a show that was on E. It was a reality TV show. Again, no disparaging words against Bella Twins. Don't send me your hate mail.
Well, that's a question you have to ask Vince McMahon on that one. You have to ask him, which good luck.
Yeah, I'll get on that right now. Let me just email him. He'll probably be an easy guy to contact. He's not busy.
Yeah, he's the easy one. Yep, you're right.
Yeah, he's not busy. Not working there. He is working there. He's selling the company. He's not selling the company. I don't know. No one knows. So we'll just stick with my sentiment. Warlord, Hall of Fame. Make it happen. If it doesn't happen, I will get the Warlord spear. I will put on half the mask, and I will storm Stamford, Connecticut for you. Okay? Can I do that for you?
That'd be lovely.
Did you give that away too? Did you give that to your son as well?
No. I got that put away in a case. Okay. That's put away, and I got the staff by itself. Just the W I took off of it and that stuff, because I put that away in a goddamn huge safe.
Good.
Because I'll tell you what, that would garner some money. It's one of a kind in this world.
Do you have there was only one?
Just one. It's made out of real metal. It's thick metal. It's the real thing.
Now you're traveling town to town carrying this thing, or the prop master or the WWF
do this for you? I carried it, and do you know several towns I went to, they had the police come to talk to me about it because someone would say, "Oh man, that thing could kill somebody," and that stuff. Brother, all I do is carry it to the ring. Police are looking like, what? They would come there and say, well, we got to come here just to say we come here and that stuff. Because someone would just call up out of the blue and say, hey, that thing look, it could be dangerous. It could really hurt somebody, kill somebody. I'm like, wow, man, really? It's crazy.
A giant W staff. People are worried about that.
Giant W staff.
It sounds like people have nothing to worry about themselves, so they're just trying to find things to worry about. And apparently, a man walking around with half a mask on and a Warlord staff is a problem in an airport. I don't understand the problem.
I don't know. I tell you what, these days it might be normal now. Everything's changed after the pandemic. It might be normal now.
Traveling on those airplanes, traveling anywhere. Going anywhere during the pandemic was a challenge. It really proved that who we really are at the core. Are we assholes or are we nice people? And I'll tell you what, there's a lot of assholes out there versus nice people.
Oh, far more. I know that for a fact. Far more. I
don't care what side of the table you land on during masks, COVID, vaccines. All I can tell you, all of us became someone different in 2020. Oh, yeah.
It changed a lot of people.
Yes.
A lot of people for the worse. A lot of people.
And they have stayed that way, and they are not coming back.
Yes, they have. They ain't going to come back either. You're right.
No, sorry. But I got to say, it has been a pleasure talking to the Warlord here on 10 Count. It was a pleasure. I'm so happy you still have that staff and that mask because, please, I've gotten texts from random wrestlers who want to sell me things, and I'm like, why are you selling this? And yes, I will buy it. But
I actually found my very first pair of boots I ever wore in WWF outside and that stuff. And I was surprised. I got my other pair yet, but these were my original ones when I first came to WWF and that stuff, and I'm like, dang. I said, well, I could sell them. I could get a fortune for them, but I'm holding on to them a while. I also found a really cool belt, weightlifting belts.
Wow.
That were made special by a guy in Boston that he started his own company because of Hogan, Davey Boy, me. He wanted to do us these belts. He made a special belt, and I got a special powerlifting belt that says a really cool Warlord in red engraved in the back of it. And he actually gave me another belt that I still use to this day. 1990? So it's 33 years later, and I'm still using it at my gym. It's a pump. You can actually put it on, and you can pump air into your lower back when you work out. And it works 33 years later. It works perfect yet. Perfect.
Wow. This guy really knew what he was doing.
Oh, he was incredible. He did a great job. Great job.
And it still works and it's still intact. So if anyone wants to buy it, you can contact Warlord. No, I'm just kidding. No, you can't. He still uses it, folks. But I have to say, it's been a pleasure and honor talking to you today. I've been Steve Fall. He's the Warlord. Hall of Fame. Make it happen or I'll storm Stamford, Connecticut. Have a great day, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Thank you, man. Thank you, guys. Love you. Thank you.